This is an installation video for a sport bike mount. We're going to start by showing you the pieces. We got the arms, short arm, long arm. You might want a short one, you might want a long one, depends on your bike and your setup. Then there's two different wedge sets. This is the bigger wedge set. It goes from 3/4 of an inch. It goes from 5/8 of an inch to 13/16. This is a small wedge set. This is the Yamahas use this. This goes from 1/2 inch to just about 3/4. This is your long bolt for the wedge set, your cradle, and the nut. First thing we're going to do is determine how this thing's going to mount on the bike. So we're just going to grab the short arm and this button head screw using a 3/16 hex key. We're going to run this bolt into the short arm. This is a 3-inch arm, that's a 4-inch arm. And then I'm just going to kind of simply spin the cradle on there a couple of turns to hold it in place. Kind of like that. Now we can hold this onto the bike and see how we're going to position this. Okay, this is a 01 CBR 600. We're going to install this on. By the size of this hole, now we already snapped the plastic cap out of there. Just pop that cap out. This is the mounting location for this. This is where the wedge set goes into. We're going to determine where we want this thing to be mounted. We're going to kind of throw our smartphone in there and hold that hole over the that's a good location there. That's between the fork tube. Allows a clearance-free ignition switch. This is a vertical setup for like a smartphone. If you're going to run a GPS, you might be running it horizontal in that position. That way we're going to have to raise this up, slide it out of the steering stem hole. The wedge set's long enough to do that, so it clears the fork tube over here. But this would be horizontal for a GPS setup, and this would be vertical for a smartphone setup. That looks like the short arm's going to work pretty good for that. We're going to go ahead and assemble the wedge set. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set this thing up for installation. First thing we're going to do is make sure that this bolt is tight in the arm. Got that cranked in real good. Next thing we're going to do is put the nut on. This is the nut that tightens the... once we get this set into position, you tighten the nut against the cradle, and that locks it into place. We're going to put that lock washer on there. And we're going to spin the cradle on there. Just about like that. Now we're going to take, I think we determined we're going to take the large wedge set. I'm going to go ahead and start this bolt in the bottom wedge there. I'm going to screw it in there, make sure that those threads are clear, ready to go. And I'll pull it back. That's how it goes. I got to install it through here first. Okay, we're going to install it through the short arm, through the long wedge, and into the bottom wedge. Now we're having fun. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take the slop out of this thing. There we go. That's a good position. Now we're going to take a 532 hex key and do the installation. Okay, now we're going to install this sport bike mount onto this sport bike. One thing to keep in mind is once we install the wedge set into the bike, we don't want it to end up finished with the top of the tube sticking out. So you want to set it when it's assembled in its wedge position, kind of like this, so we're covering the top of that open tube. Understand? Cool. Alright, so now what we're going to do is loosen this up a little bit, just till that thing slides down into that hole. going to start by setting it about that deep and about that angle. Now if we were setting up a GPS in this cradle, we set it in just about this position here, horizontally, like that. That looks like it'll fit real good. It's over the top of the fork tube. It's high enough out of the steering stem hold to clear the top of the fork tube there. It gives us good access to the ignition. If we're going to go smartphone horizontal, we're going to put it just about in that position there. One key is hold your handlebars straight before you tighten everything up, so you know that when it's all finished, it's straight. Okay, this looks like a good position, so I'm going to swing this guy out of the way. Tighten that up good and snug. Spreading that wedge, locking it into that tube. We're going to set it up for a smartphone. Now we're going to take the nut that's on the bolt, and we're going to tighten the nut against the cradle to lock it into position. Okay, we get our final positioning down. And snug that into position really good. Now that's good and secure. This is all set up for a smartphone. Grab the sides of your clamp, press it together, tighten up your nut. That'll hold your smartphone or GPS very securely. This is installed with a polished cradle for clarity. The smartphone mounts come with black cradles. There you have it.